Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing about instrumentation amplifier, its basics and application. So before getting into detail of what is instrumentation amplifier, let us understand what is the application where the instrumentation amplifier is being used. So in many industrial and consumer applications, they require the measurement of some physical conditions. So what are those physical conditions? For example, the temperature, humidity and pressure. So there in many industrial applications, they require the measurement as well as the control of such physical conditions. So these physical conditions must be converted to electrical quantities. This can be done by using transducers. Transducers are nothing but the devices which convert one form of energy into another form of energy. So the output of the transducer will then be amplified. Here where the instrumentation amplifier comes into picture. So these signals that is coming out of the transducers will be amplified by the instrumentation amplifiers. So before transferring our signal from one stage to next stage, the level of noise in the signal should be discarded. So the noise and the interference should be removed. So that is why we need such an amplifier which offers very high rejection, common mode rejection ratio, which is able to reject the noise. So such an amplifier used here is instrumentation amplifier. The signals which are coming from out of the transducers are very low level signals. So such low level signal amplification is done by these instrumentation amplifier, which offers high CMRR, high input impedance and also avoids the loading effect. So here we know now that instrumentation amplifier is intended for precise low level signal amplification where input resistance should be high, it should offer low noise and also give accurate closed loop gain. Also low power consumption and high slew rate with high common mode rejection ratio are always desirable for good performance. Now let us see what are the requirements of a good instrumentation amplifier. So as we said that instrumentation amplifiers are employed usually to amplify the low level signals, thereby rejecting the noise and interference signal. So therefore some specifications should be met in order to have better performance. So these are some of the specification. First one is finite, accurate and stable gain. Now we know that instrumentation amplifier has to amplify what? Low level signals that is coming out from the transducer device. So therefore we need a very high and finite gain. So this is a very basic requirement that we require a very high and finite gain. Also accurate gain with stability is preferred. Next one is easier gain adjustment. Apart from a finite and stable gain, variations in the gain factor should be necessary. So the variation of the gain factor should be easily adjustable. So that is also required so that we can adjust the gain according to the requirements. The third one is high input impedance. We know we require an amplifier which gives very high input impedance in order to avoid the loading effect at the input side. The input impedance should be ideally infinite. Similarly, at the output impedance, it should be the opposite. The amplifier should offer low output impedance in order to avoid any loading effect onto the next intermediate stage. We require our output impedance at the amplifier should be a very low value. Ideally, it is set to be 0. Next is high CMRR. CMRR is nothing but common mode rejection ratio. Usually the output of the transducer contains some common mode signals such as noise and interference signals because they are transmitted over long wires. So the signals are easily susceptible for noise. So such noise should be rejected. So an amplifier with a high CMRR is required, and the value of CMRR is ideally infinite. So it must be able to reject the noise very well. And then we have high slew rate. The slew rate of the instrumentation amplifier must be also high as possible in order to avoid any kind of distortion present in the signal. So it requires a high slew rate in order to reduce the distortion, to produce undistorted output voltage swing. Now let us understand in detail the instrumentation amplifier. What is instrumentation amplifier? How it looks? This is the circuit diagram of an instrumentation amplifier. Basically, it is made up of 3 amplifiers. The first 2 amplifiers are the non-inverting amplifier. The third amplifier is a difference amplifier. So the most commonly used instrumentation amplifier consists of what? 3 op-amps. In this circuit, a non-inverting amplifier is connected to each of the input of the differential amplifier. So we have 2 non-inverting amplifier whose outputs act as an input to the differential amplifier. So this instrumentation amplifier provides very high input impedance for exact measurement of the input that is coming from the transducer. As you can see here, you have A1 of amplifier, that is a non-inverting amplifier whose output is given as one of the input to the difference amplifier, and you have the second amplifier A2 whose output is given as the input to the differential amplifier. So together this is called as 3 op-amp instrumentation amplifier. You can also call instrumentation amplifier as data amplifier or difference amplifier. Now let us see what is the output value. As you can see in this figure, the output V0 can be written as V0 equal to the gain of this particular amplifier, that is nothing but R2 divided by R1 into the difference voltage, that is the input value, that is V02 minus V01. So that will be our output of this particular difference amplifier, that is nothing but the gain value R2 by R1, and V02 minus V01 is nothing but differential input value. So this is the output of our difference amplifier or instrumentation amplifier. Now let us understand in detail what is the working of an instrumentation amplifier. The output stage of an instrumentation amplifier is what? It is the difference amplifier whose output V out is the amplified difference of the input signals at the input terminals. So we have 2 op-amps, 1 and 2, whose outputs are V01 and V02 respectively. These will act as input to the difference amplifier, and V0 is given here. As we wrote before also, V out is nothing but R2 by R1 into V01 minus V02. So this is equation number 0. Now let us consider the expressions for V01 and V02. Let us find out what is V01 and V02. So for this we will be analyzing the input stage of the instrumentation amplifier. So this is the input stage of an instrumentation amplifier where we consist of the first 2 non-inverting op-amps. So V01 is nothing but output of the first amplifier, V02 is the output of the second amplifier. So the potential at node A, this is node A. So potential at node A is the input voltage. Hence the potential at node B is also V1. Because of the virtual short concept, the potential present at node A will be equal to potential present at node B. Similarly, at node D, we have the input voltage V2. So at node C also we will be having the same input voltage V2, again by the virtual short concept. So let us see now at the output of these 2 amplifiers. Let us first calculate what is the value of the current. As you can see in this particular branch, the current flows because all the resistances are in series. So the same current flows from V01 to V02. So let us find out what is the value of current at node E to F and then at node G to H. So we know that ideally the current at the input stage of the op-amp is 0. So all the current will be flowing at this branch, that is the feedback and the output branch. So therefore the current flows through RF1, RG and RF2. The current flows from RF1, RG and RF2. So by applying the Ohm's law, we have the value of the current, that is I equal to V01 minus V02 divided by RF1 plus RG plus RF2, that is V01 minus V02 divided by the total resistance in this particular branch, that is RF1 plus RG plus RF2. So that is the value of the current in that particular branch. Now suppose if we make RF1 equal to RF2, that is RF1 equal to RF2, we can write our equation as V01 minus V02 divided by 2RF plus RG. Now since no current is flowing to the input of the op-amp 1 and 2, the current between the node G and H can be given as, so the current between G and H is also I. So let us see what is the current flowing across this particular resistance RG. So we can write Vg minus Vh, that is the node between G and H. So Vg minus Vh divided by Rg. Vg and Vh are nothing but V1 and V2. As you can see in this figure, node voltage Vg is nothing but equal to Vb and Vb is nothing but equal to V1. Similarly, the node voltage Vh is nothing but equal to Vc, that is node voltage at present at C, is equal to V2. So we can substitute Vg and Vh as V1 and V2 divided by Rg. So this is the current value at the resistance Rg. Now since we know these two currents are same, they are flowing in series, we can equate these two particular equations. We can equate these two particular equations, that is equation number 1 and 2. V01 minus V02 divided by 2RF plus RG equals V1 minus V2 divided by RG. Now we can transfer this 2RF plus RG to this side and we can write V01 minus V02 is equal to 2RF plus RG into V1 minus V2 divided by RG. So this is the value of V01 minus V02. Now we required the value of V02 minus V01, correct? So if we multiply negative sign at both the equations, then we can write this particular equation as V02 minus V01 and we can write V1 minus V2 as V2 minus V1 by applying negative sign at both the sides. Now this is the zeroth equation which we saw, that is V out is equals to R2 by R1 into V02 minus V01. So now we have got the value of V02 minus V01. We can substitute the value here. This particular value we can substitute in this particular equation. So substituting the value of V02 minus V01 from equation 3 in the zeroth equation, we get this particular value, that is V out is nothing but equal to R2 divided by R1 into the value of V02 minus V01, that is 2RF plus RG into V2 minus V1 divided by RG. We can simplify further, as RG is common, we can write this as 1 plus 2RF by RG. This is nothing but simple simplification. So we can see that our output is a factor of V2 minus V1, that is the difference input voltage, and this particular value is nothing but gain, R2 divided by R1 into 1 plus 2RF by RG. So this is the gain of the amplifier, overall gain of the instrumentation amplifier. So the above equation gives the output voltage of an instrumentation amplifier. So this forms the overall gain of the instrumentation amplifier. So something we have a denote. What it says, the overall voltage gain of an instrumentation amplifier can be controlled by adjusting the value of Rg. So you can see this particular gain, in this particular equation, the gain can be controlled by using this particular value Rg. So if we change this value Rg, then we can control our gain. So this is the output voltage of an instrumentation amplifier. Now let us understand certain advantages of the 3 op-amp instrumentation amplifier. So what is the first advantage? The gain of a 3 op-amp instrumentation amplifier can be easily varied and controlled by adjusting the value of Rg. So as we said before, we can easily adjust the value of the gain by adjusting the value of Rg. So the gain is easily adjustable. So this is what the requirement we wanted, right? Finite, accurate, very easily adjustable gain. So the next advantage is the gain of the amplifier depends only on the external resistors used. Hence it is easy to set the gain accurately. Again, the gain depends upon the external resistors. So we can choose our resistor carefully and thereby we can accurately change our gain according to the resistor value. The third advantage, the input impedance of the instrumentation amplifier is dependent on the non-inverting amplifier circuits in the input stage. So the input impedance of a non-inverting amplifier is very high. So we know that the input impedance in case of non-inverting amplifier is very high. Okay, so that is why we are employing a non-inverting amplifier in our circuit, because an instrumentation amplifier requires high input impedance, which is offered by a non-inverting amplifier. Also, the output impedance of an instrumentation amplifier should be low. So this particular instrumentation amplifier uses a difference amplifier at the output stage, which offers very low output impedance. Here the CMRR, that is the next advantage, common mode rejection ratio of 3 op-amp is very high, and almost of all the common mode signals will be rejected. Since we are using a difference amplifier, correct? So whenever it is in common mode, it will reject most of the common mode signals. So that is why we are making use of difference amplifier. So it offers very high CMRR value. So let us understand certain applications of instrumentation amplifier. So first we understood where it is used, what is the instrumentation amplifier, then we saw what is the circuit diagram, what is the output voltage, then we saw what are the advantages. Now let us see what are the applications of instrumentation amplifier. The instrumentation amplifier along with transducer bridge can be used in a wide variety of applications. So these applications are generally known as data acquisition system. Data acquisition system means to collect the data and help to transfer that particular data to the next stages. So basically collecting and synthesizing the data from the transducers. So this forms a data acquisition system. At the input stage, there is a transducer device. So that transducer device converts what? Converts the physical quantities like temperature, pressure, humidity into electrical signals. Now these electrical signals will be very low, correct? These will be very low level signals. So these need amplification. So instrumentation amplifier amplifies these low level signals. The amplified signal is then fed to the display device, which is calibrated to detect the change in the quantity being measured. So what after amplification happens? After the signal has been amplified, the output of the amplifier will be calibrated and it will be fed to some other device. It may be a display device, it may be a relay circuit. Okay, so there it will be calibrated and it will show the value being measured. Now suppose I am having a temperature controller. So the value of the temperature will be displayed on the device after being amplified. So let us see some of the examples and some of the applications. The very first application which we are studying is temperature controller. As you can see in this particular figure, you have a transducer bridge. This is nothing but a transducer bridge which makes use of thermistor. Then you have at the next stage you have an amplifier. This forms a instrumentation amplifier. These are the first two non-inverting amplifier. Then this is the difference amplifier, and the output of the difference amplifier will be given to the relay unit. Okay, this relay or heating unit, which in turn will control the temperature value. So a simple instrumentation, a simple temperature controller system can be constructed using a thermistor as the transducer device. So here the thermistor is acting as a transducer device which converts the one form of energy into electrical signals. Now the resistive bridge is kept balanced. So this is a resistive bridge which is kept in balance. So any change in the value of the thermistor, if there is any change in the temperature, this particular bridge will be set for some particular temperature, like a reference temperature. Now if temperature changes, if temperature is decreased or temperature increases, this thermistor value will be changing. So when the thermistor value changes, this bridge will be in unbalanced condition. So that unbalanced value will be fed to the input of the two non-inverting amplifier. So that input will be fed to the non-inverting amplifier, and the output of these two non-inverting amplifier will be given as input to the difference amplifier, which in turn whose output will control the relay circuit. This is nothing but a relay circuit which can either be on and off depending upon the controlling of the temperature. So as it says in this particular line, for any change in this reference voltage, so if there is any change in the temperature, the instrumentation amplifier will produce an output voltage. So it will produce the output voltage here, which will drive the relay circuit. The relay circuit can be a simple switch on and off. So it will on and off the heating unit, thereby controlling the temperature. So this is the temperature controller. Let us now understand what is the light intensity meter. So we can make use of the same circuit as we made use for the temperature control. The same circuit can be made use, but instead of thermistor, we will be adding an LDR circuit. Instead of thermistor is sensitive to temperature. Now we will add an LDR which is sensitive to light. So the same circuit can be used to detect the variations in the intensity of the light by replacing the thermistor with LDR, that is light dependent resistor. So the LDR resistance changes with respect to light. So now we will set the bridge, this particular bridge, in the balanced condition for darkness. So there is no light present. So we will balance this particular bridge for darkness condition. So the bridge is now set to balance condition in darkness. So now whenever light falls on this LDR, that is light dependent resistor, what happens? Its resistance changes and the bridge will be unbalanced. As the resistance changes because of the light, the bridge will be in the unbalanced condition. So this will cause the amplifier to produce an output. So what happens when there is change in resistance here? The change in resistance is reflected as the input to these two particular non-inverting amplifier, and these non-inverting amplifier will act as an input to the difference amplifier, and then the difference value will be amplified and given as the output voltage. So this causes the amplifier to produce some output voltage, which in turn will drive the meter to produce the deflection. Now suppose we are measuring the light intensity. So the output of the difference amplifier can be a meter. So that meter will show what the deflection. That meter will show the value of the light intensity. So the meter can be calibrated in terms of lux. What is lux? Lux is nothing but a unit which measures light intensity. Suppose there is darkness, there is no light, then the meter will show 0 value. As soon as there is some light falling on LDR, it will produce some output at the amplifier, and this amplifier output will drive the meter to produce some deflection. So that deflection will read the value of the measured light intensity. So this is the second application of our instrumentation amplifier, which helps us to identify or detect the light intensity. Now next one is temperature indicator. Let us understand what it does. We can again use the same circuit here. The circuit shown for temperature controller can also be used here for indicating the temperature. So the resistive bridge is kept balanced for a particular reference temperature when V out is 0. So this particular circuit, this particular bridge is set to some particular reference voltage. It is set to some particular reference voltage so that the output voltage is 0. Now as the temperature increases or decreases depending upon the reference voltage, according to the reference voltage, if there is a change in the temperature, what happens? There will be change in this particular bridge. So it creates unbalances and then provides the input to these particular amplifiers, and then in turn there is some voltage present at the output. So the temperature indicating meter is calibrated to reference temperature corresponding to this reference condition. So now I will set my balance, that is bridge, for some reference voltage. For example, you take I will calibrate it for 25 degree. Now if there is any change with respect to 25 degree, then there will be a deflection in the meter. So any temperature change, the output of the amplifier also changes. So the gain of the amplifier can be appropriately set to indicate the desired range of temperature. So now for an example, now I will set my value to 25 degrees Celsius. That is my reference condition, and there is no output at the amplifier. Now if there is any change in the temperature, what happens? The output of the amplifier also changes, and that particular change will drive the meter which is connected to the output of the amplifier. So now it will show the changes in the temperature. So this is about temperature indicator. We have analog weight scale also as an example. This is an application where a similar circuit is used, but instead of transducer bridge, we are making use of something called as strain gauges. Strain gauges are nothing but gauges which change its resistance based upon pressure or strain or force. If you apply force or if you apply strain, then the resistance of that particular material will change. So we can use this for analog weight scale. So if we apply weight, what happens? A stress and strain is developed. Due to stress and strain, the resistance value will change. So if the resistance value changes, this bridge will become unbalanced, and that unbalanced voltage will be given to the instrumentation amplifier, and the instrumentation amplifier will take that as a difference input and will amplify to give the output. The output will in turn will drive a meter which will show the change in the weight, or which will measure the weight. So the elements are mounted here. The elements are mounted on base of the weight platform. When the weight is placed on the platform, what happens? Whenever you place some weight on the platform, there are 4 gauges, strain gauges. So the opposite two arm will elongate, and the other opposite 2 arms will get compressed. So in the 2 arms there is tension created, so they will be elongated because of the weight applied, and the opposite 2 arms will be compressed because of the weight applied. So this means RT1 and RT3, you can see these 2 opposite arms, RT1 and RT3. These resistances will be decreased because they have been compressed. Okay. Now while RT2 and RT4, these resistance will increase because of the increase of the or elongation when you apply weight. So because of the elongation, these resistances increases. Because of compression, these 2 resistance decreases. So now let us see under no weight on the platform. So when there is no weight on the platform, the bridge is balanced, correct? So the RT1, RT2, RT3 and RT4 will be equal to the same value R. and now the output of the bridge will be equal to 0. So there is no unbalance here. So the output of this bridge will be 0. Thereby the output of the amplifier will also be 0. But now if there are some unbalanced condition, if you apply some weight, there is unbalanced condition. So the change in that resistance is denoted as delta R. So that change in resistance will reflect the output of the amplifier. So increase of delta R, that is you have increased value at RT, that is RT2 and RT4 resistance increases, while there is a change in RT1 and RT3. So there is a decreased value in RT1 and RT3. So there is a small derivation based on this particular change, very simple to understand. So now let us see what is the value of VA and VB. So as you can see in this particular figure, you have VA and VB. So let us see what is the value of this particular voltage VA and VB. We will apply a voltage divider rule here. So what is the value of VB? This is nothing but VB will be equal to RT2, correct? You can see here VB will be equal to RT2. This is nothing but RT2, that is increase in the value R plus delta R. Okay, so there is increase, RT2 increases, correct? So R plus delta R divided by the total resistance, that is RT3 and RT2 into VDC. Okay, so you have into VDC and divided by total resistance in that particular branch. What is the total resistance? The total resistance is RT3 plus RT2 plus the change. RT2 is increasing, RT3 is decreasing. So that is why we have minus delta R and plus delta R to show the increase and decrease. So we can write this particular equation as R plus delta R into VDC divided by 2R. Now similarly, we can calculate the value of VA again by applying voltage divider rule. That is value of VA here. We know RT1 is decreasing, correct? So the value of resistance here will be R minus delta R, and we know RT4 is increasing. So here it will be R plus delta R. So what is the value of VA? VA is equals to R plus delta R into VDC divided by the total resistance. What is the total resistance? R minus delta R plus delta R. So there is some increase, there is some decrease in the resistance value. So again that will be simplified to this particular equation. Now what is VAB? What is the value of VAB? That is the voltage between the node A and B. So VAB is nothing but VB minus VA. So we will write VAB as VB minus VA. So that is nothing but equal to R plus delta R into VDC divided by 2R. This is the first equation. Then the second equation, R minus delta R into VDC divided by 2R. So we are basically equating these two particular equations to calculate the value of VAB. So now we will arrive at this particular equation after equating them. That is delta R into VDC divided by R. So delta R is what? Change in the resistance. Change in the resistance from RT1, RT2, RT3 and RT4 into VDC, that is nothing but the applied voltage to the bridge divided by the value R. This is the original R. Delta R is the change in resistance and R is the original resistance value. So hence the net output voltage will be equal to A into delta R into VDC divided by R. Why A? A is nothing but gain. Instrumentation amplifier offers us certain gain, right? So we are multiplying that gain value here. So it is clear that our output voltage is proportional to change in resistance. So from this equation it is very much clear that the output voltage is very much directly proportional to the change in resistance. So the change in resistance reflects what? Weight applied. If you apply some weight, there is some change in resistance. So if there is any change in resistance, the output voltage also changes. That output voltage change will in turn depend upon the applied weight. So you're converting your applied weight to voltage value. Change in applied weight or change in weight will reflect the change in output voltage. So the meter connected at the output. So there will be certain meters connected at the output of the amplifier. That can be calibrated in kilograms. So meters will be calibrated in kilogram. There is any change in the weight, what happens? That particular output voltage will drive this particular meter and will reflect the change on the meter. So commonly available instrumentation amplifier ICs are AD524, AD620, LM0036, INA104 and AMP01. There are many more instrumentation amplifier ICs available in the market. We can use any one of these IC to measure the analog weight. So this is about the applications. We saw analog weight scale, temperature indicator, light intensity meter and temperature controller. Thank you so much.